Hello friends, UPSC mains में high score करना is a guarantee that you will find your name in the final list and also you will get your preferred service. And for that, आपके मेंस के आंसर्स का प्रॉपर इवेल्युएशन होना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. और यहाँ पे IAS नेटवर्क विद अ टीम ऑफ टॉपर्स और जिन्होंने लेटेस्ट UPSC के इंटरव्यू दिए हैं, दे विल हेल्प यू इन योर इवेल्युएशन प्रोसेस. फॉर फर्दर डिटेल्स कॉन्टैक्ट अस और विजिट आवर वेबसाइट ऑफ IAS नेटवर्क. थैंक यू.
Hello everyone, my name is Abhishek Vyas and I have secured rank 629 in this year's UPSC Civil Service examination. Talking about my background, I did my graduation in Economics Honours from Sri Ram College of Commerce. Then I moved on to do my MBA from IIM Lucknow. And after that I had about 4.5 years of work experience. And from the UPSC journey perspective, this was my third attempt. And in the first two attempts, in the first attempt I had reached till interview stage, but I was not able to clear it. In the second attempt, I had reached till main stage, but I couldn't clear it because I was again for the both first two attempts I was working along with the private sector job, and it had become quite hectic by then. So in the third attempt, then I decided that I would resign from my job and prepared wholly for this year's attempt. And I'm happy that I could get rank 629 this time. And in this video I'll be talking about my strategy for essay, because essay is one thing which has been my strength for all the three attempts. I have got 124 marks in my first attempt, then 129 in the second, and this time I've got 131 marks. So I have been pretty consistent with the essay marks, if I were to say. And there are two parts to the essay preparation. So first is the source perspective, that from where all we need to gain our sources and the knowledge for putting in the essay. And the second part is the writing. So for the first part, I had relied upon the strategy that is given by Anudip Durishetty sir in his blog. So I had actually referred to it quite extensively. So what the strategy is that in terms of the essay, if you talk about, then we need to prepare the different facets of essay: the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. So for introduction, we can start. I will say we have to start with something very catchy and which is very particularly relevant to the topic. It can be any story, it can be any anecdote, or it can be your own example for which you would have read in the newspaper. So it can be anything. So, but it has to be relevant to the topic and it has to be catchy. Then for the body, if you were to talk about, then make sure that you are putting in different perspectives, different dimensions to the body of the essay. In the essays which are knowledge based, we can apply the framework, like from the scientific perspective, political, the pestle analysis we can do. Political, economic, science, and administrative angle. So all these different dimensions have to be analyzed for the topic and then written in the essay. And for the conclusion perspective, again, it is very important that the way that you have opened your essay in terms of introduction, it's very important to close it from taking thread of that introduction itself. So for example, just in case that if we are asked about climate change, so there is one example that Anudip Durishetty sir had put in his blog, is that he has started with something introduction, like taking a scenario wherein a drought has created a lot of negative impact for a farmer in the hinterlands of the state of Maharashtra. So this is one example that he has quoted in the start of his essay, and then he ends it with saying the same thing, that if we are able to manage the climate change, then people like the farmer who was struggling with his crops in Maharashtra, those kind of people don't have to struggle. So that creates a lot of impact in your essay, that you have opened the essay well, and then again you didn't forget to end the essay on a positive note as well. So all these things are to be taken into consideration. From this year's perspective, we saw that it was a surprise for all of us. We got 2 philosophical essays instead of 1. So I'm sure for a lot of us, it was, even for me, it was a quite shock in the examination and all. And but the good thing that I was able to do was I didn't panic at all. I tried to see that how can I apply my existing knowledge in answering that essay in the holistic level. So I would say that preparation for philosophical essays is not different from the knowledge based essays, I would say, because the preparation remains the same. You have to cover your basic sources, which is the GS sources, where you get a lot of knowledge already. Then you'll have to also collect some good examples from the newspaper, from different magazines about different topics, which are frequently asked in the examination. For example, women empowerment, it can be climate change, or it can be health education. So these are the basic topics which you have to cover for the examination perspective, and putting a lot of examples around you in that particular essay. So why I'm saying it's not different, because even in philosophical essay, we need to see that how we can put our GS knowledge in the philosophical essays. Then we can take this topic which is asked in this examination, which was, there are better practices to best practices. Now it is a philosophical essay, of course. It is it can mean different things to different people which are attempting this essay. But what we have to keep in mind is that the essence of this particular topic, there are better practices to there are better practices to best practices. So what I understood by this topic, and I tried to portray in my essay also, was that there are always different perspectives to a particular issue in the society. One can say that, okay, this is something which I do, and this is the best practice that should be followed. For example, we can talk about topper strategy itself. Like, everybody goes about taking the different strategies, but there's always a different strategy which can work for different person, which would be better for him than the initial strategy that the person had spoken about. So we can refer to the topic that was asked in this year's examination, which was like, there are better practices to best practices. Now again, this is one topic which can mean different things to different people. They can interpret this topic in different ways. So how I interpreted was that there are better practices to best practices means that every person in this world, or every institute, or every other person, they can see that their own way of doing thing is the best thing, but there would always be different perspectives to that particular same event. That other person would say that, no, this is not the best practice, there are always better practices to it, and which is very true in the real life as well. We all time we see that the issues and the way of doing things that were seen to be very relevant to that particular historical time, all those have been changed with the development in science and technology, or with development in a lot of inventions. We have seen that over all this while. So what I did was, with this topic, that I analyzed that what introduction that I can give to this particular topic. So I gave the example of Ashoka. So I had introduced by saying that Ashoka was somebody who had killed a lot of people in the Kalinga war. So at that time he had thought that this is only the best practice in terms of achieving his goals, the territorial ambitions that he had, in kind of change that he wanted to bring, his impact in the whole society. So he used to think that this was the best practice that he can follow in terms of achieving his whole goals and ambitions. But later he realized that there are better practices to actually achieve his goals and ambitions of making his name in the entire world, which he did by promoting Dhamma later. So I introduced my essay with this particular introduction. And all these 3 years, I have been making sure that I have certain number of stories already prepared in my mind, which I try to see that where all I can put in all these stories in the different topics that are being asked. So this becomes very important, because if you have not prepared an introduction beforehand, it would be very difficult for you to come up with that introduction in the examination hall perspective. There are people who can actually do that, but in my case it was not the case. So I relied on my preparation more than the actual event in the examination hall. Now coming to the body part, it becomes very important again to address the topic from different dimensions. So here also we can see that in the philosophical essays also, the same dimensions can be used which we use for the general studies topic based essays. For example, in this particular topic itself, which is there are better practices to best practices. Now we can give example of economy also. We can give example from science and tech also, because we see that there have been a lot of improvements being done from the past to now to nowadays in all the different sectors that we can think of. So again, giving of an example, for example, earlier there was uh, it was realized that okay, capitalism is something that can do good for the rich as well as the poor, because capitalism has a trickle down effect that can get millions out of poverty. So that was realized, that was thought of, that it is something of a best practice, that capitalism is best for people, for rich people, and also for the poor people. But over time people realize that this is not working in the case of India or even the developing countries, other developing countries. So we now have diverted to a model which is a mixed capitalism, wherein we have both, we are contributing, we have a private market as well as we have a social sector in hand to take care of the masses, to take care of the people who are not that privileged. So similarly, you have to think about different examples from in the different dimensions: science, technology, economy, then political. Also, we can say that in terms of the constitutional amendments that we see in our country, those are also part of this particular topic, wherein there are better practices to best practices, because we keep on improving upon ourselves.
हेलो फ्रेंड्स, यूपीएससी मेंस में हाई स्कोर करना इज अ गारंटी दैट यू विल फाइंड योर नेम इन द फाइनल लिस्ट एंड ऑल्सो यू विल गेट योर प्रिफर्ड सर्विस एंड फॉर दैट आपके मेंस के आंसर्स का प्रॉपर इवेल्युएशन होना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। और यहाँ पे आईएएस नेटवर्क विद अ टीम ऑफ टॉपर्स और जिन्होंने लेटेस्ट यूपीएससी के इंटरव्यू दिए हैं, दे विल हेल्प यू इन योर इवेल्युएशन प्रोसेस। फॉर फर्दर डिटेल्स कॉन्टैक्ट अस और विजिट आवर वेबसाइट ऑफ आईएएस नेटवर्क। थैंक यू।
So what I want to say is, they can be they, it's not important, it's not 100% sure that this topic will come again and again, but it's very important when you are sitting in the examination hall to analyze that topic very thoroughly, very calmly, and see that how you can apply your existing knowledge in answering that particular essay. That becomes very important. Then for the conclusion part, a conclusion doesn't have to be very long, unlike an introduction which is about one pager. A conclusion can be done in different ways. It can be from ending that story that you introduced in the starting of your essay. Then it can be a quotation, any example that you can quote. So conclusion is also important to be make sure that it's relevant to that particular essay. So this was how I have attempted essays in all these three different attempts, and I hope it would be you will be able to benefit from it. And I want to thank Delhi Knowledge Track for giving me this opportunity today to interact with all of you. And if you have any questions, put it in the comment section, and I'll try to answer all of them. Thank you so much.